This edition of My Thoughts Monday is brought to you by Valve Performance, the team behind the Nordboard, Force Decks, the Groin Bar, and Human Track. Guys, the most important ability for all of our athletes is availability, and that's the absolute goal of Valve Performance, is to provide solutions to performance professionals so that we can get the right information to make the right decision at the right time for the betterment of the athletes that we get to work with. To do this, guys, they have a wide range of validated products that focus on usability, and having being founded by the School of Exercise and Nutrition Sciences at the Queensland University of Technology, they're extremely evidence-based and they're beyond transparent. I can tell you that our time using the Nordboard and being involved with Force Decks, we have been introduced to so many amazing people that have truly helped us become better coaches, have a better understanding, not just of the technology, but also what we're doing with our athletes. So make sure you hop over to valveperformance.com today to make sure you check out what they got. It's going to make you better and to do better by your athletes. The world of strength and conditioning is filled with some awesome practitioners who are always trying to evolve and continue to grow professionally throughout their career. The problem with many of us, though, is finding a new outlet, a new way, and a new perspective on the questions that we may have, whether it be programming, whether it be situational with dealing with coaches, or whether it be career advice. Because all too often what happens is we get stuck in with the same group of friends and the same group of colleagues that we reach out to for advice repeatedly over and over again. But what we should really be looking for is different perspectives, different people who have been through different situations who can help us make better decisions both for ourselves and our athletes. And one awesome place to start with that is the forums in the Strength Coach Network. In the forums in the Strength Coach Network, you'll be able to reach out and get feedback, input, and advice from coaches from all over the world. From everything from career advice to training modalities to programming, there's people there just for the same reason as you are, to try to get better, to learn, to share information, and to grow the field of strength and conditioning. So hop on over to strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASPs. That's strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASPS to dive into all that great content today and get your 48-hour trial for only $1. I look forward to seeing you in the Strength Coach Network. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Jay DeMayo coming at you with this week's edition of My Thoughts Monday. And as we enter what is now the 6th week without sports and without us being in our traditional setting when it comes to getting the opportunity to work with the athletes that we would see on a daily basis, I think there's something that we need to talk about. And this is something that's come up on a couple of Instagram live talks, and I've actually had multiple conversations with other practitioners candidly about this. And I think we need to talk about how we're spending our time right now. And I can just hear people go, huh? Jay DeMayo's talking about what? Yeah. I think we need to talk about how we're spending our time right now. I think we need to talk about what our goals are and what we're trying to accomplish and where we're trying to go. And this goes in multiple ways. The first and foremost is there was a meme out for a while that was something like, if you don't come out of this crisis with like a side hustle or developed a new skill or something like that, then you wasted your time. And now I get it, right? There's exceptions. Right? Like people working for the ambulance corps, the fire departments, and the nurses and doctors and all of those people, and people that may be considered essential employees at this time. Like, I get it, right? I get it. There's exceptions. But I think in our field, when it comes to coaching, hammer, meet, nail. Hammer, meet, nail. And when I started with that, right away, I was all in, totally in. But I was all in because, to be completely honest, I was a little bit lost. I was still a little bit taken aback. I didn't even know where I was for a while. Because that Thursday, March 12th, was such a whirlwind when we were trying to walk out to practice, and then we hear that our tournament was canceled. And then we get on the bus to go to the airport, and we find out the NCAA tournament is canceled. If I'm going to be completely honest, that stuck with me a lot longer than I thought it was going to. And I had a much harder time dealing with it than I thought I was going to. But it took a few weeks for me to be able to figure some things out and take a step back and really be able to look at some things. And then that meme came to my mind, and I couldn't agree more. And I think there's a couple things that we need to be able to look at with this. One of which is going to be its own My Thoughts Monday. But the primary one that I want to talk about today is, what are we doing to better ourselves and the position we are in during this time? Emmanuel has said multiple times, and just said again recently, that you can never let a crisis go to waste. Now, he's talking about the financial sector and all of these things. And when you sit there and you look at it, right, first thing you're like, wow, this guy's a jerk. Like, that's an awful thing to say. But if you think about it in another sense, the situation that we're in right now, right? We're doing our best to stay in contact with the young people that we get to work with. We're doing our best to program what we can. Hopefully, we've done our best to find some sort of way to relax, recover, regenerate, find some me time to come down. Hopefully we're finding time every day to become a better coach, learn a little more. Somebody's doing talks every day at noon, just throwing that out there. I hope that we're all able to do things like that. But what are you doing to make sure that you're going to be better off as well? We have an opportunity right now to learn new things, to do things to help us be in better places. Zach Dakin was on at one of our noontime talks a week or so ago. And of course, because it's Zach, it's absolutely brilliant, sensational stuff. Because Zach's awesome, and he's a great coach, and he's an even better human being. And he shares openly with everyone. There's no secrets with Zach. And the last thing we talked about was, what he was looking into. And his big thing that he likes to read and research is he wants to understand the stock market. And he starts talking about how important a second stream of income is. And this is something that we either need to start taking heed of, or we need to just stop talking about. Because I think that this helps us as coaches in two ways. The first of which is obviously the what if, right? We work in such a volatile field. There's no security. Shoot, there's not even a lot of people that get contracts as strength coaches, right? Most of us are on yearly appointments at best, where we're, for all intents and purposes, working at the pleasure of a coach or one administrator, right? So being able to know that if the worst case scenario does happen, that you have A, something put away so you'll be okay, and B, a second source of income that may be able to keep coming in for you to keep developing and growing and all of those things. I don't think anyone on the planet in their right mind would say that's a bad thing. I understand it's hard. I understand some coaches aren't put in a situation to do that. I understand that. But there are ways that we can find to do that. It doesn't necessarily have to be the stock market, right? You can find other ways to make money. We have time. If there's been a side hustle you've been thinking about, why not start it? If there's been something you wanted to learn about, why not read it? And I'm not saying this has got to be a 40-hour-a-week gig that you're sitting there and grinding all night over, you know? But I do think Gary Vee's kind of right with some of this stuff. That if you can spend an hour or two a day, that's 14 hours a week. I don't think that's too much to ask. And I think that most of us, even if it's 7 hours, I think most of us would say that's probably pretty reasonable. Especially if it's going to be something that's going to help us be able to be in a better position. And for as long as the words strength and conditioning have ever been on a name plaque, the primary complaint with most people has been, well, we don't have the time. Well, I think we do now. I think we do now. And I also think that the other reason why this would be important is because when we look at these things and we look at our situation, if you knew that you were okay, that if the worst case scenario happened, that you were going to be all right, because you either had a second source of income that was going to take care of it, or you had a nest egg that was growing and was going to be able to get you through whatever it may be, how much better of a coach do you think that would make you? If you knew that you had something to fall back on, how much less would you censor yourself? Now, I'm not saying that you should go into meetings, if you have this, with your middle fingers up like Stone Cold Steve Austin and treat the coaching staff like he treated Vince McMahon back in the day, But you probably would stand for some things that you think are a little more important, right? You would possibly be a little bit more forward when it comes to things that could be done better. You'd probably express some of your discontent a little bit more too. And you know what might actually happen? People might listen. People might be like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't realize that upset. Oh, I didn't realize we were doing something that might not be the best thing. But right now, if we're living paycheck to paycheck, and we are completely dependent upon that for survival, how much more timid does that make you in a meeting? How much more withdrawn are you to be able to actually do what, in your professional opinion, may be best for the young people that you get to work with? I know that's probably a scary thing to think of, but I think it's the truth. If we have that safety blanket, we will most likely be more forward, right? It's like the whole idea with having the face mask in ice hockey. When you put the cage in front of your face, or like the cage in the NFL, you put that cage in front of your face, your body doesn't turn things off, and you lead with your head when you hit. Trust me, did it a lot in high school. But you take that face mask off, and all of a sudden you're checking a different way, or you're tackling a different way. So now if you had this face mask, what would that allow you to do? Again, I'm not saying you need to have another 9 to 5. I'm not saying you got to be grinding 40, 60, 80 hours a week on whatever this is, or your side hustle, or whatever. And I'm not saying that if you don't do it, you're a bad person. I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that we like to complain about. And we now have the opportunity to, at the very least, research a way to decrease the power of one of them. And I'm going to take that time to try to learn something to help decrease the power of the one that seems to be holding us back the most, in my opinion. I would love to hear, though, if and how you're doing that. I would love for there to start to be groups of strength and conditioning coaches who talk about these sort of things and how we can build all of these things and how we can be better and how we can take better care of ourselves. Because if we don't have to take a job that doesn't pay well enough, imagine what that could do for everybody else too. We complain about all these things. It's time for us to start working out these solutions. So would love to hear how you do it. Would love to hear what you're thinking. Would love to hear how you're growing. And as always, I am truly grateful for everything that y'all do for us here at Central Virginia Sport Performance. We'll be back next week with another My Thoughts Monday. I will see you then.